Good evening, afternoon, or morning, everybody. I hope we're doing very well today, and welcome back to the second video on the channel. And I'd just like to say, firstly, thank you for the views and subscriptions we got after the first video. I was really happy with how that kind of went, which was our Gameweek 26 preview video. So thank you again for that. And again, if you like the content, you've got any recommendations you'd like to make, um, you can always contact me on the socials, which are on your screen now. I'm on Twitter, we stream on Twitch, and of course, we're on YouTube now. Please just comment in the comment section or just get in contact on Twitter or similar. But like I said, very much appreciate the support so far. One of the comments that was made on the first, based on the first video, was to maybe experiment with the weekly content by doing kind of like 10-minute videos. For example, we'll look at fixtures, then we'll look at captains, and we might do a preview video as well. So we're going to break it down a bit this week. So we're going to start with a fixtures look, and then we'll also have some other content this week where we'll look at other areas. So to not blabble on, we'll move straight onto the fixtures, and I'll just swap over so we can see all the fixtures. Got to get Bruno and Kane out of the way. All right. So overall in game week 28, when I look at these fixtures, they are quite tough fixtures to call, I'm not going to lie. It's one of these weeks where there isn't clear options, in my opinion, that you are shouting out to you that you need to get on board with. There are quite a few opportunities, I think, this week to be a bit differential. And especially if you're, for example, free hitting in next game week in 29, there's no worries. You could just go for a 1 week punt on a few players, which I'll mention as we go down. So if we work our way down, first fixture, Newcastle and Villa, I think is one of the better fixtures to target, actually, considering this week. Newcastle, I believe, in pretty terrible, especially goal scoring form. They seem to grind out a good old 0-0 now and then, but they're not particularly special going forward, in my opinion. And Villa have been one of the best defences in the league. So I'm looking at this fixture, and as I'll say on a lot of these fixtures, it just screams out defence to me for Villa in particular. Like Martinez, if you're not going by now, you've missed the boat, and you might sort of may as well jump on it at this point. So defensive options for Villa would be a good place to go if you've not got any in there. I'd even say you should probably double up on them. Say get a target would be a very good budget option as well. Bearing in mind, Villa also playing game week 29, so they are a very good team to load up on. I wouldn't be too adverse, and actually, if you need some game week 29 players, Newcastle, maybe get one of their defenders, but I definitely prefer Villa if you're in need of a defender and you've not got two Villa defenders already. Double up on Villa isn't the worst idea in my opinion. But like I said, the Newcastle defence are a bit iffy. So if you're full on, you think Villa are going to win this game, I'm quite happy you're going for a Watkins or Traore as well, as an attacking option. Because I feel that this easily could be like a 2-0 to Villa. I don't see Villa getting troubled too much at the back. So I'm very big their defence in this game. As you'll see on a lot of these fixtures, I'm quite big on the defenders. And it's kind of trying to pick the right midfielders and attackers that could just propel us a bit in the game week, I think. So if we move on to Leeds against Chelsea, this is another one where I don't want to... I feel like Leeds can always score, but Chelsea are really good defensively recently. So this is one that could easily just end up 1-1, not get you a lot of points either way. And in my opinion, you just avoid this fixture. At the minute, I've got 3 Leeds players, and I'm thinking of benching them all because Bamford might score a goal yet, but I don't fancy them to keep a clean sheet, and I don't expect them to beat Chelsea 3-0 or something. So it's going to be a very low scoring game. We've seen a lot of 0-0s recently, and even 1-0s. It wouldn't surprise me if Chelsea managed to scrape a 1-0 here again. But yeah, going forward, Chelsea's defensive options are looking pretty solid. I would probably, maybe 2 weeks down the line, when you get to game week 30, reevaluate if you want a change in defence. Because Chelsea don't play next week, so I wouldn't necessarily bring them in just for this game week. It's not somewhere I would particularly go in for. Leeds, I'd hope you've got a few Leeds players in preparation for next week. But this is not a fixture that I'd be playing on Leeds assets in. This is one of the ones where you just bench them. I feel like personally I've got 3 and at least 2 of them sit on the bench. Bamford, I'll see how I feel when it got us to the end, and we might end up with Bamford just as one Leeds asset, but I wouldn't be betting on your Leeds assets in this game. So then we see, I first saw Crystal Palace and I was like, this is 0-0 written all over it. But this is, in my opinion, West Brom, I think they're gone in terms of the relegation fight. But this is a really big game, in my opinion, for Crystal Palace. Because I think we've all seen the form of Fulham, who are coming back. It's quite some speed, really, to make the relegation fight quite competitive now. And Crystal Palace are one of them teams that could get dragged into it. I think they're on like mid 30 points, and they're definitely in danger if Fulham keep winning. They could get dragged into it. So I think Palace need to go for this. And I don't know if everyone saw the last fixture for Palace. Wilfried Zaha was back for the second half. So if I was Roy Hodgson, I would be playing Wilfried Zaha in this game from the offset. He's the best player by far. He's going to create everything that goes through that team. Bearing in mind they haven't got a fixture in 29, so he can just play this one game and give Wilfried Zaha a good rest after it as well. So if I was making a 1 week punt here, Zaha is one of the ones that would be in my thinking. Because most of the stuff will go through Crystal Palace. They don't score a lot of goals when he's not in the team, and he's just that bit of X factor Crystal Palace have got. So a 1 week punt, Palace, on with Zaha, I'd be... If I wasn't planning for next week, I'd probably be going Zaha straight on him, to be fair. Before he got injured, I did have him in the team, hoping, because he had quite a good run, that he'd get some points, but Zaha's a good 1 week punt there. I'm not convinced by either defence, really. Either of them could scratch a clean sheet. Like, if I was going for one, I'd go for Palace, but I still wouldn't be investing in Palace defensive assets. There's a lot of better defensive assets you can go for across all these fixtures. So, in my opinion, in that fixture, it's Zaha or nothing. Especially if you want a punt for that week, because I don't expect a lot of people have got Zaha just sitting in their teams at the minute. So then we move on to Everton. Everton are just a funny team. I just wanted to mention there's a slight chance that Everton could get a double game week still in this game week. So at the time we're currently recording on Tuesday night, on the 9th of March. So we also haven't seen the second City fixture yet against Southampton. So if there's some injuries in that game, this won't be in this video, so you'll have to excuse me for that one. So Everton are a bit of a funny side at the minute, I think. I personally have DCL and Digne in my team. I look at this fixture and I think, clean sheet wise, it's a fair bet. Digne is a good option. If you've got an Everton defender, again, I keep repeating it, defence. There's so many defensive options. I've already said Villa, Chelsea and Everton. Defence again here. Digne is a good option. I don't expect Burnley to score a lot. They don't seem to score a lot away from home. They don't score a lot in general. So Everton, they're a good bet this week. I'd say they could probably win 2-0. I'd be happy. I think they'll get a clean sheet. And then probably Richarlison's your best asset at the minute. But if you've got a DCL, it's the same, really. So they're pretty standard options in that Everton lineup. I wouldn't particularly be going for Burnley in the short or long term. And like I said, keep an eye on that double game week for Everton. If you get double game week in Everton, you really need to get them in your team if you're not already. I think the double game week will be against Villa as well. So like I said, up there on the Villa fixture, Everton and Villa, they're good teams to get into. Even though, Villa also have a game week 29 fixture, Everton don't. So again, that if you're stuck between Villa and Everton for a defender, maybe just plump for Villa because of that reason. So even moving on to City, who are running away with the title, I think this is a difficult game for Man City. But I think it's a difficult kind of game where they could scrape it 1-0, 2-0. I don't expect them to concede again. But my issue with the City defenders is that they get rotated. And you can't... Maybe Diaz you can bank on. The other City defenders I wouldn't particularly bank on even playing this game. You need to bear in mind who plays in the midweek game and then go from there. I'm currently in the bank where I'm thinking... I don't want double City defence anymore because there's just a bit too much risk involved, especially later on in the season. So I wouldn't particularly be bringing City players in for this game week. They also don't play next week. And I'd be avoiding Fulham assets for this fixture, really. Like I said, I think the City will probably win it 1 or 2-0. It's not going to be a big scoring game in my opinion. Southampton and Brighton, I don't particularly see any assets at all in that fixture. Both teams can play quite well. Again, I feel like it could be a 1-1 or 2-1 either way, and you're not going to get much value investing in their assets at all. So unless you've got their players in there, don't target that fixture at all. Leicester should win that game, but at the minute all their attacking assets are out, so it kind of neutralises some of the threat they've got. So you can say Vardy, but then Vardy's going to struggle with supply. So I think if you're going to Vardy, you may as well just go up to a Kane. If you've got Vardy still in there, I'd still keep him in there. And again, defensively, Leicester have looked decent. I don't expect Sheffield United to score against them. So Leicester, again, I think it could. I feel there's going to be a lot of low-scoring games this week. So Vardy, yeah, if you've got him, I'd probably think about just getting Kane if you didn't have him already. Again, it's kind of, I wouldn't target this fixture at all again. The biggest game probably of the week is Arsenal against Spurs. So at the minute, I think people are definitely on the Spurs hype train, should we call it. I'm not convinced by it fully. I don't expect there to be a lot of goals in this game again. Or if there is, it's not good. I don't expect it to like Spurs to win 4-0, for example. If anything, I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal actually won this game quite comfortably. I'm not convinced by Spurs at all. The teams have scored well against are teams you'd expect them to score well against. So, for example, Burnley. Burnley away from home was completely different to when they play at home, so I wasn't surprised by that score. So they should be beating these kind of teams. So purposely for this week, Arsenal not. There's no great assets. There's a good budget option in Saka that if you've not got him in, and he also plays in Gameweek 29, get in. But Arsenal, there's not a lot of assets I want to target. And Spurs, well, I think we all know, Kane. If you don't have Kane at the minute, I don't have Kane at the minute. I think we need to. Most people need him in the teams, just to neutralise the threat of other teams. And then there's a toss up between Son and Bale. I've always preferred Son, but Bale is kind of screaming out at the minute. But I just don't trust Bale's fitness. So if you're looking for attacking assets and you've not got double Spurs, I'd be looking to get some of those in. So my ideal partnership would be Kane and Son, but then obviously you've got Bale, which I think is very similar price to Son in fairness. So it's a toss up who you believe between those two players. So I'll leave that part to you. I've recommended their attack, especially because they play in Game Week 29 as well. You're not going to go too far wrong with them. And I was also, I've been on about defenders. You've got so many options in defence, as I just said. But I'm not liking how well he's playing, but Davinson Sanchez seems to be the nailed-on starter for Spurs at the minute. There doesn't seem to be anyone else who's nailed on. So if you wanted a Spurs defender, he's not top of my list Spurs, but he seems to be the one nailed on if you want a Spurs defender. So we go on to another difficult game. Like I said, a lot of these fixtures are very difficult this week. So Man United against West Ham. Again, I think going off the cup game between these probably like a month or so ago, West Ham just played a lot of men behind the ball. I'm not convinced they're going to do that. So this is either going to be a 3-3 or a 0-0, in my opinion. I've seen worse games to captain Bruno in, for example, in this game. So I think everyone at this point has got Bruno in their team. I'd be hesitant to double up on their attacking options, United, and they've not got a fixture next week. West Ham have got a fixture next week. So I wouldn't be adverse against putting even a double West Ham attack in there, ready for next week. Antonio, and then you've really got Lingard or Souček. I wouldn't be afraid of playing West Ham players against Man United, because I'm personally a Man United fan, and our defence, if you put our defence under pressure, you can easily get through it. So if West Ham attack us, we're in trouble, to be fair. But that can create an open game. So attacking assets, I think this is one of the games where I don't think I would bet on the defenders. I expect both teams to score in this game. So your Brunos, even if you've got like Rashford in your team, don't get rid of them. But I wouldn't be transferring them in just because they don't have a fixture next week. West Ham players, in fairness, I wouldn't mind if you transferred them in. But also a point on Lingard, don't be transferring Lingard in purposely for this week because he can't play against Man United because it's his parent club. So if you haven't got Lingard already and you're transferring him in, don't do it this week because you're not going to get any value from him. So then we just got Wolves and Liverpool at the bottom as well, which I think, again, it's one of those fixtures. I don't expect a lot of goals unless Liverpool finally click. And they could get a few, but Wolves are quite defensive at home. Well, they're defensive wherever they play, and they don't give away a lot of goals. If Liverpool do hit the stride, they could win like 2 or 3-0. But again, it's so Liverpool's defence, you're not targeting at all. You're just looking at well, quite a lot of people have Salah, but in my opinion, it's quite a good time to get off Salah now. And especially if you want to keep a Liverpool asset, you could easily just do Salah to Jota. It looks like Jota should get some game time, but if you go for guaranteed game time, I think you go more for Salah, but there's a big price difference. So Jota maybe you should be looking for if you still want to keep a Liverpool asset. But again, I wouldn't be targeting these greatly in this week at all. So, like I said, overall, a lot of these fixtures are quite difficult to call. So I think it could be quite a low-scoring week in terms of goals and FPL points. As we've seen quite a few game weeks throughout the season, defence, I think, is going to be quite key this game week. So I've highlighted Villa would stand out for me. Even maybe Everton and Man City. I think they'll be my top 3 defensive teams I would be looking to target if you're looking to bring in a defender. Also bear in mind, Villa have a double game, not a double game week. They play in blank game week 29. So if you're stuck between a City and Everton or Villa, I'd say pump for Villa because they will have a fixture next week and you've not got to think about how you're going to cover that position next week. So that's an upside there. But apart from that, they're very difficult fixtures, like I've said. So I can understand a lot of people having worries, well, not worries, but just there's no clear options, I don't think, to be bringing in. And I think you've always got to have in the back of your mind that game week 29 next week because we're so close to it now. You've got to bear that in mind. So on that topic, this is the content we're going to follow. We're going to do on this video, just going over the fixtures, and I'm also going to do 2 other videos this week. One, we're going to look at captaincy picks, and then I'm going to do a bit of a look forward to game week 29, which, like I've said, is next week. So, like I said at the start of the video, thank you for tuning into the last video. Thank you anyone who's watching this. If you want to like, subscribe the video, that really helps. And I've got my social links, which will be under the video as well, and you saw at the start of the video. So, like I said, greatly appreciated, and there'll be a few more videos coming your way this week. So for this video now, I thank you all for watching, and have a great rest of your day, evening, afternoon, whatever is happening with you. And I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye.